Good morning, all of you. My name is Ramya, and I am here to explain the recent changes that were brought in the Constitutional Amendment Acts of 2019 and 20. So, before getting started, I have been preparing for civil services since quite a few years. Don't ask me how many. During my preparation, I had come across a lot of scenarios where the notes I made just few months ago was already outdated. And this happens with most of us. We do not realize this until and unless we solve multiple question papers. I am here to compile all the changes that were made. This can save a lot of our time and effort. So this was one of the recent amendments which brought major criticism to the ruling government. Let's check what the reasons why and how. This amendment of 2019 amends RTI Act of 2005. What is an RTI Act? It gives any common man the right to seek or receive any information from a public authority. So what is a public authority? Public authority can be any authority that is established by a central or a state government law. It can be a constitutional body or a statutory body. Public authority also includes all the NGOs and other bodies which are partially or completely being funded by government of India. Why do we need an RTI? Because for a country like India, where with huge corruption and scandals, RTI is important to promote transparency and accountability in the country. What are the major objectives of the Act? It empowers citizens to promote transparency and accountability, to contain corruption, to enhance people's participation in the democratic process. This Act applies to the whole of India. So initially it was the whole of India except for Jammu and Kashmir, but since Article 370 has scrapped the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, now this Act applies to the whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. As per RTI Act of 2005, every public authority should have a PIO, that is Public Information Officer. So what happens every time we file a RTI, that goes to the Public Information Officer and he has to reply within 30-day time period. Sometimes he can reject because there are a few exemptions under Section 8 of RTI Act of 2005. Even if it's rejecting, he needs to give the reasons. If you're happy with the information provided by a PIO, it's well and good. If you're not satisfied with the information that has been provided by PIO, you can always appeal to first appellate authority. If you're still not satisfied with his or her information, then you can directly appeal to CIC, that is Central Information Committee. This has been one of the strong instruments for any common man to seek any information from a public authority regarding the finances or the beneficiaries or the outcome or anything from the public authority. Even before this amendment, there had been quite criticism with respect to the information that is being provided by PIO officers, was that they would provide huge information that could be from 300 to 500 pages of information for a small question. This would be difficult for a common man to read huge volumes. So what were the changes that have been made? Initially, the Chief Information Commissioners and the Information Commissioners would have a fixed tenure that is for 5 years. So this amendment takes away the fixed tenure and tells center will notify the tenure for all the information commissioners at state level and central level. So the security of tenure is completely taken away and now they don't have any fixed tenure, and the salary of a chief information commissioner initially was equal to chief election commissioner, and the salary of an information commissioner was equal to an election commissioner. Salary and allowances of these officers will be determined by the central government. And also another important change that has been made was the designation. Chief Information Commissioner was equal to Chief Election Commissioner, and Information Commissioner was equal to Election Commissioner. With this Act, Chief Information Commissioner is equal to an Election Commissioner, and Information Commissioner is equal to State Chief Secretary. So it's somewhere like they have been demoted, their designations have been reduced, the salaries have been are being determined by central government, and the security of tenure is also taken away from them. So this is why we have seen criticism against the ruling government, but what they tell is CIC is a statutory body and CEC is a constitutional body. So we cannot give them equal designation, equal salary and equal fixed tenuity is what the ruling government stating. Somewhere that is also true, because a statutory body can never be equal to a constitutional body. This is all about RTI Act. There are 3 major changes that have been made. That is with respect to term, with respect to salary and allowances, and with respect to the designation. And this act amends 3 sections, that is section 13, 16 and 27 of RTI. Okay. Second, coming to the Protection of Human Rights Amendment Act 2019. Before getting into the amendments, let's check the background. So this is OneNote. I use MS Office OneNote 2019 version to make my notes, and this is how it gives you a different set of notebooks and columns to organize your notes. Example, I have created notebooks as per the GS subjects, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, essay, sociology, time, my timetable, etc. So if I go on to GS 1, it has again sub-subjects, Indian heritage and culture, history, post-independence, and so on. And here right side it gives you additional pages, so you can add and add on as you want to make notes. If I want to read about NHRC, all I do is click on the search tab, type NHRC, then enter, and it directly takes me to NHRC. NHRC is a statutory body, as all of us know. It has been established under Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. And what is the main objective? All this stuff already covered in the PPT. What's the main objective? It inquires into the violation of human rights. It visits jails and detention places. It reviews constitutional and other legal safeguards. It studies treaties and international instruments on human rights, to spread human rights literacy among people, to undertake and promote human rights research. What were the major changes made in this act? There are again 4 major changes that have been made. So initially only a Chief Justice of India could be the chairperson of the Human Rights NHRC Commission, but now a judge of a Supreme Court can also be the chairperson. And similarly with respect to State Human Rights Commission, the Chief Justice of a state or any judge of a high court can be the chairperson of a state human rights commission. Initially it had just 2 members. Now this amendment adds another member where a woman has to be there, one among them. The ex officio members initially were the chairpersons of minorities, SCs, STs and women. The amendment also adds the chairpersons of National Commission for Backward Classes, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, and Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities as the members, ex officio members to this commission. With respect to term of office, initially the term was 5 years or until they attain 65 years, whichever was earlier. Now this amendment reduces the tenuity. It brings down to 3 years or until they attain 70 years, whichever is earlier. And it removes the clause of 5-year upper limit for reappointment. So any member, if they have to be reappointed, there was a cooling period of 5 years before. Now this amendment removes it, so the members can be reappointed now to NHRC. So this is the snapshot from the original Gazette, because I have seen several authentic sources also providing the tenuity of NHRC chairperson would be 5 years or 70 years. So here it clearly states 5 years has been substituted with 3 years. There are 3 major changes again, that is a judge of a Supreme Court or a judge of High Court can be the chairperson. A woman, a mandate part of the commission. Added few more ex officio members. Tenuity was brought down from 5 years to 3 years, and the members can be reappointed. Then the third one would be Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Act 2019. This act replaces Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967, expands the scope of terror entities. What happened initially, government could designate only a group as a terrorist. This act amends and empowers to designate individuals as terrorists on the same grounds. So this is not something new, because several countries like China, Israel, European nations, including Pakistan, have this act in place of designating individuals as terrorists. So one of the important changes that have been made with this amendment is the power from the state has been completely taken off, and the sole authority to look into the matters of terrorism lies with central government. Because initially, for the seizure of property, central government had to seek approval from DGP of the state to seize any property, but now it says the approval of a Director General of NIA would be required to seize any such property. State has no role in it anymore. And additionally, it empowers NIA. It expands the scope of officers to look into this matter. It empowers the officers of NIA of the rank of inspector or above to investigate cases. Going to National Medical Commission Act 2019. This act seeks to replace Medical Council of India Act 1956. This act has got a lot of criticism due to irregular functioning, corruption, nepotism, red tapeism, and license Raj in place. So there were several commissions that have been framed to look into the Medical Council of India Act 1956, but there it wasn't functioning as per the requirements. So finally, on the recommendations of Niti Aayog, this act was completely scrapped and it has been replaced with the new National Medical Commission Act 2019. And within 3 years, there is a cooling period of 3 years for the state governments to establish their own state medical council. And the composition of this new commission would be 25 members, including one chairperson. There will be 70 medical professionals appointed by the central government, and this council will be a primary platform through which states and union territories can put forward their views and concerns about the changes that are required. And these members would be appointed by a search committee which includes cabinet secretary, Health Secretary, CEO of Niti Aayog, and 4 expert members. What are the functions of Medical Commission? Framing policies for regular medical institutions and medical professionals, assessing the requirements of healthcare related human resources and infrastructure, ensuring compliance by the state medical councils of the regulations made under this act. What are the main features? There will be a medical advisory council, limited license. This limited licensing refers to, for example, we have Ayush. To become a doctor by clearing MBBS, then surgery, then PG, it takes 10 years, 10 to almost 10 years to completely become a doctor. But there are few practitioners who take few courses among Ayush and they just practice directly. They do not take any training, they do not have any certification, they directly practice it in the rural and semi-urban areas. So what happened, government has come up with limited licensing where it will select few of the people, it will train them and it will certify them so that they can go work in rural areas. There would be an entrance exam, that is NEET, National Eligibility and Entrance Test, and next is the National Licentiate Exam. This is for those who go abroad, do their MBBS and come back to India to settle down and find a job. This exam is for them. There will be a national exit test. So this will be an entrance exam for PG graduates. Regulation of fee, 50% of the seats in private medical institutes have to be reserved. So initially this act doesn't talk anything about the regulation of fee. There was a lot of corruption, a lot of red tapeism. So hopefully this new act will solve all those issues and would bring in more doctors and more practitioners, which is actually required for our country. Then coming to NaVIC, the most important and my favorite too. So finally we're going to have our own Desi navigation system, that is NaVIC. We do not have to rely on GPS anymore. What happened was, way back in 1999, Pakistani troops took positions in Kargil, that is in Jammu and Kashmir. And first thing India did was, it went to US and sought help. It asked to provide the position of the Pakistani troops where exactly they are stationing. But then US has refused to give us that information. So then India thought, okay fine, it's high time we should have our own regional navigation system. ISRO comes into picture and we finally have NaVIC. So recently global standards body, that is 3GPP, which develops protocols for mobile telephony, has approved India's regional navigation system NaVIC. Now the cell phone manufacturers can produce new devices that is compatible with NaVIC, and all of us can use our own indigenous regional system instead of GPS, which is of US. So it's not just US, there are several other regional navigation systems as well. Okay, so we have regional navigation system and as well as global navigation system. GPS, what we use as of now, is a global navigation system which is owned and developed by US, and China also has a global navigation system, that is Baidu, or also known as Compass. European Union has Galileo, which has 22 satellites out of 24. Russia has GLONASS, and these are the regional navigation system. Baidu is again China's, and Japan has Quasi-Zense satellite system. What is NaVIC? It stands for Navigation with Indian Constellation. It is operational name for Indian Regional Navigation System. It provides us with accurate real-time positioning and timing services, and it covers the whole of India and the region extending 1500 kilometers. That is 1500 kilometers beyond India. And this is very important. All we read until few days was that NaVIC has 7 satellites, that 4 in geosynchronous and 3 in geostationary. But then as of today we have 8 satellites. NaVIC has 8 satellites, 5 in geosynchronous and 3 in geostationary. The names of it would be 1A, B, C, D, E, F, G and I. H has been unsuccessful. The satellite could not reach the orbit, so it was, the latest one was IRNSS 1I. NaVIC provides us with 2 types of services. One is standard positioning services, restricted services. Restricted services are those encrypted services provided to military and security agencies. And NaVIC is an allied system of US. When we are an allied system to any other navigation system, it is a kind of cooperation between 2 countries to exchange information. US GPS system has been aligned with European Union Galileo and Japan's QZSS. And it is not aligned with China's Baidu and GLONASS. Finally, thank you all for watching this video. I hope it was useful, and you can reach out to me on my Telegram, that is Rami9622. I would love to hear the feedback because this is my first video. I would want to learn and make much better videos going forward. Thank you, have a good day and happy learning.